Hey guys, I'm here today to talk to you about how to make an inexpensive or cheap sleeping bag warmer and more effective, so you don't have to go out and buy a brand new expensive $300 and $400 down bag, because if you're anything like me, you cannot afford to excuse me, you cannot afford to purchase real expensive gear. This is about a $20 bag. I think it cost like 17 bucks for me. It was on sale. This is like a 40-degree bag, okay? Nothing big, nothing fancy, it's just a bag. One of the things you have to worry about is what kind of temperatures are going to be in, what type of conditions there's going to be, whether it be rain, sleet, snow, hail, sunshine, clouds, and the elevation makes a big difference too. The higher up in elevation you go, the colder it is. You can get about 3 degrees difference in temperature for about every 1,000 feet of elevation. So if it's 90 degrees at 1,000 elevation, it should be about 87 at 2,000. 84 at 3,000, 81 at 5. You just on up. It's about a 3-degree temperature drop as it stands right now with the climate the way it is. Now, there's a lot of things you can do. First of all, you have your shelter. Like if you have a tent, that's fine. That's good, actually. But, some of us can't carry everything that we want, okay? If I wanted to carry everything I wanted, I would need an extra huge wheelbarrow, okay? And then it probably would be heaped up. But we have to carry what we can carry. So, one of the things you can do is to wrap your sleeping bag, okay? And you can do that a couple of different ways. When you've got it laid out, there's these survival bags. If I can see that. There's these survival bags, all right? They're made out of 3 mil. This is $7, okay? Or 4 mil. Is it 3 mil? 3 mil. Okay, this is just a plastic bag, a big plastic survival bag, okay? But it is waterproof. And you could slip that over the top of this and cut all the wind. And it would actually raise the degrees in there by several degrees. Probably 5-ish, okay? So you've got a survival bag. Now, going with that theme, if you don't have one of those, you can use trash bags, okay? You take 2 trash bags, you cut along the bottom on one of them to make it a tube, okay? You slide it up over, and then you take a second trash bag and you slide it up over the foot, effectively doing the same thing. Now, these are not very durable. You probably only get one use out of them, okay? But it's something to keep the wind off of you and leaching heat away from your bag, especially in colder weather. Another thing you can do is to add a reflective material. Now you can do this with like one of these little cheap cheesy survival blankets, which this one's ruined because I just noticed a mouse ate it. You have to watch out for mice on your preps, by the way. But you could use that to spread underneath it. You could even put it inside the blanket, sleeping bag, to reflect heat back towards you. You can either put the top or bottom. I put it on the top personally because of the heat rises. So you'd want it to reflect it back down into you. But now there's other ways you can go with this particular theme. And they have these big survival blankets, okay? I bought this one used at a thrift store. It's not perfect, and I'm sure it probably has a few little tiny holes in it, so it's probably not waterproof, but it is reflective. And it would reflect heat back to me. And it's big enough I could wrap it over the top of my sleeping bag from the bottom to the top. I don't know if it's big enough to cover the whole sleeping bag. I'd have to unfold it to find out, and I don't want to make that big of a mess here in the living room. But this is another option, okay? Now, another option is, another problem with sleeping bags is laying on the ground, okay? The cold sucks the heat out of you. So you would have to make some sort of arrangements to be up off the ground, whether it be putting something like this underneath you so that it reflects the heat back towards you and doesn't allow the heat to escape, a sleeping pad, an air mattress, big old huge pile of leaves, if nothing else. And you say, oh, the leaves will scatter. Well, put two small logs, yay big, on either side of where you're going to sleep. Fill that area with leaves, if the leaves are dry. If they're wet, you're going to have to put something over the top of them so that the wetness doesn't soak into your bag and make you cold. And you definitely don't want hypothermia if you're in a survival situation. You got to keep your core body temperature right, and you need sleep, because without sleep you're done. So one other thing you can do, if you don't have anything to put underneath you, is to be up above, like in a hammock. Now the only problem with the hammock's great, okay, don't get me wrong. I don't think I've tried to sleep in a hammock, and I can't sleep in one because I'm a stomach sleeper. If I was exhausted enough, I could. But this would get me up off of a wet, snowy ground. The only problem with a hammock is the underside, which is why they make underquilts for hammocks. But again, if you line the hammock with something like this, or Reflectix, or an emergency blanket, or something that will help reflect heat back to your body, it would help keep you warmer. Because when you lay on this bag, it's going to compress all of that fill that would normally be insulating. It would compress it to nothing because you're laying on it, which also works on the ground. You're laying it on the ground, you're going to compress it, which is why you lose a lot of heat through convection on the ground. But a good hammock would be a possible solution to that problem. I got this one really cheap. It was at one of those places where you they get customer returns, okay, and it was $8 or $9, something like that. It wasn't over 10. But anyway, it's just a travel hammock. They have better ones. You can, if you wanted to go the hammock route, they have better ones. They got some really nice ones out there. And if you sleep this way, see the picture of the hammock? If you sleep this way or slightly this way, it's almost flat without having the bow. And if you get a double hammock, you'll get that effect, because anyway, you can sleep widthwise and be able to sleep on your side or stomach. But this is what I have, so this is what I would use. Okay. Now, as far as inside the bag. Now, inside this bag, there's two things. There's a wool blanket, and then there's a whoopee, which is a poncho liner Army issue. I have a wool blanket in there because this bag is not rated for much, okay? Even down here where I live at in El Paso, I would have been cold last night trying to sleep in this thing without those items. Of course, I didn't sleep in them. I slept in my bed. But if you were to put this on the ground on a pile of leaves, you spread your thing out, you've got a wool blanket in there, you've got a whoopee in there, you know, and then you can cover it up with a survival blanket or a tarp or something. That's going to severely reduce the amount of heat you lose, okay? And the thing is to contain the heat that you have. Now, some people are cold sleepers, some people are hot sleepers. I'm a hot sleeper. So, if I get too hot, I'll get started sweating. No, speaking of sweating, oh, that's another issue. Speaking of sweating, when you're covered up with tarps and trash bags or whatever the case may be, your body perspires water, whether through sweat or just natural coming out your skin that you don't even feel all the time. Not to mention what comes out of your mouth and your nose. When you're done sleeping, it is imperative that you open this thing up and you dry it out. Because tomorrow night, you don't want to crawl into a half-damp bag. Okay, because what if tomorrow night's colder? So when you get up in the mornings, like say you're out, you've been sitting in the bed for 3 days and you've been out there and the sky looks pretty clear and you're in a relatively safe spot, open this thing up. Let it dry out. Give it a couple of hours to really dry out good. Separate all the layers. You definitely want to keep your bag dry. Dry is key. Now, in here is a wool blanket, and yes, wool will keep you warm when it's wet, but also this stuff gets heavier when it's wet. A lot heavier. If this thing was wet, it would weigh 100 pounds probably. Of course, you know, a person sweats that much, they've got other issues. But, so there's that. Now, another thing you can have is a tent, which also helps keep wind and temperatures more controlled than it would be if you were just sleeping out underneath the stars. You can have a tarp, okay? This one's not a sil nylon tarp. It's water resistant, but it's not waterproof, okay? Some people will make, like, you know, they'll run a ridge line and they'll make something to cover anything coming down, because you do have to worry about dew. Because, you know, if it 4 o'clock in the morning, the dew starts settling, because everybody's walked out and seen water all over their windshields. If dew starts to settle, something like this over the top of you, up a little ways, would make a big difference on how dry your bag stays and how comfortable you are, and whether or not you get sick from pneumonia. You don't want that either, trust me. Okay, then there's different types of tarps. You know, this is a real nice heavy canvas tarp. This is the bomb. This tarp is just awesome. It is very kind of heavy. It's real heavy weight. This thing weighs several pounds, which is great if I want durability. Now, if I have to tote this thing everywhere, I'm not so sure. If I had to just tote everything on my back, I would take this tarp, because, and I'd probably couple it with this one, because I would want the weight to be reduced. My bags are already too heavy. I'm gonna have to redo my bug out bag, because that bag just not gonna cut it. It's great in theory, but when I went to go put it all on with all this stuff attached to it, and then my parka and my poncho, that thing weighed a ton. I'm not going to carry that. I can't carry that. I'm too old, and I just can't do that. So I had to make it where it's lighter, and I have to figure out another way also, because I'm going to be able to have to carry stuff with me. So I'm going to figure out a way to do that, whether that be a rolling suitcase, one of those grocery shopping carts, you know, with the little basket and the handle. That would actually work really good. Whatever the case may be, I have to figure out some way in order to be able to carry my big bulky items like this, and then I can put my backpacks on. And yes, I said backpacks as in plural because I have 2 of them. I'll show you guys how I manage that in another video. Then last but not least, you need some sort of waterproof bag, okay, to put your stuff in. This is an Army issue dry bag, okay? It's not like the ones you see where you roll down and then fold them around. Okay, this one here has got the drawstring. It's an older one, and I'm not even sure if it doesn't have a hole in it somewhere, but it's better than nothing. I got this at one of those Goodwill outlets when I was in Ohio, and you buy stuff by the pound there. This cost me 79 cents a pound, and it weighs less than a pound. So this thing cost me about 50 cents. That's all it really cost me. Which, me, prepping on a budget is key. I have to, because I don't have a lot of money. So, I say a lot. I hate that. So here we go with the bag, and it's all, I'm not going to unroll the bag to show you the blanket. I showed that in my other video. I just briefly showed it. I just got them folded in there and laid inside the sleeping bag, and then I folded the sleeping bag in half and rolled it up. And then I used 2 extra straps to cinch it down, because the elastic ones that come with the sleeping bag are not very durable. They will rip out. And then what are you going to do? You're going to just drape it over your shoulder, which, you know, I guess you could do that. But it's much easier if it's more compact. I would eventually love to get a stuff sack and one of those really nice down bags, or an MSS sleep system. Something that is a lot more compact than this that will do the job really well. But this is what I have. And if there's got to be a lot of other people like me who can't afford the high-end equipment, that can't afford brand new Tacticool this or mil-spec that. Well, you know what? You don't have to. You can prep, you can prepare, you can do a lot of things without tons of money. And I know this because I have done it. Am I complete with my preps? Not exactly. There's still things I want to get, things I want to change out. But if it happened in an hour, let's say in an hour, all the lights went out. Well, you guys wouldn't be able to see the video. But if all the lights went out in an hour, I could survive on what I have. Would it be as nice and comfortable and easier of a survival as if I had the nice, cool, expensive gear? Maybe not. But I could survive. So, and that's the whole point, right? The whole point of preparing is to prepare to survive, not to prepare to fail, not to prepare to die. It's to prepare to survive. To survive for yourself, or your kids, or your family, or your siblings, or your parents, or your best friend, or your boyfriend. It doesn't make a difference who you choose to prepare and to survive for. You got to prepare to survive, because that's, you know, that's what humans do. We survive. That's why our brains develop to be bigger. Our bodies are not tougher than a bear or a mountain lion. Shoot, no. If we had to live like they lived, we'd be dead in a week. But our brains are big enough to where we overcome these obstacles. And one of the obstacles is sleeping and being warm. Because we don't have hair all over our butt. Well, I say that. Some people have hair all over their bodies. Trust me. They even have hair on their backs. We're not going to get into that. Anyway, change the subject. This right here, this probably weighs 7 or 8 pounds. Okay, this is fairly heavy. I wanted to put a thicker wool blanket. I actually have an alpaca wool blanket, and that thing, you could lay underneath it with nothing else. You're just going to sweat. It's heavy, and it's warm, ultra, super, mega warm. But I wouldn't want to have to try to tote it everywhere because of the weight. But if I had a way to carry it with me, let's say I had an e-bike with a bike trailer, okay? If I had an e-bike with a bike trailer and it didn't get killed in an EMP or what have you, that blanket would be going in there, okay? Because of its severe warmth. That thing is, it's amazing. That, you know, it cost you $200 or $300 for one of those blankets. It was given to me by my late husband, 25 years ago. I've had it that long. And I've never gotten rid of it because you never know when you need something super warm. And that alpaca wool, I'm guaranteeing you, that stuff's the bomb. Okay, what else? Is that it? I think that's all I was going to cover on this video because I just wanted to go over the extending your temperatures zones with a cheaper bag because, you know, not everybody can have an expensive bag. Now, if let's say you had 2 cheaper bags, okay, one was good to like 30 and one was good to like 40, you can actually slip one inside the other and make that bag down good to 10, 15 degrees, real handy, just doing that. And yes, it would be bigger and bulkier, but you'd be warmer. Another thing, you know, that MSS sleep system that the Army puts out, it's actually a 3 or 4 part system. It's not just one bag. It's 2 bags and a bivy cover, or 3 bags and a bivy cover, one or the other. And one of them's a lightweight bag for warmer weather, and then there's the black bag, which is for pretty cold weather, and the bivy bag, which is what basically this would do. This would be in place of. The bivy bag keeps everything, you know, dry and puts a really good barrier between the bags and anything that might get them wet. So, and that's an issue. Anyway, if I get you to thinking about this, that's great. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions or anything, please put them in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell icon if you want to see my other videos or if you want to see when I put out new videos. And I am going to be trying harder to put out more videos, closer together. I've been doing every 4 or 5 days or something like that because I have to stop and think about what I want to put in the video, and then I'll change my mind, and then I'll say, well, I got to do it this way. And, well, anyway, I decided after I'd seen a similar video on YouTube that since I had the cheaper bag and that other person didn't, they didn't have any gear with them at all. It was just a talking head video. That I would actually put it to where you can see it visually. Okay, because this right here, this is a really cheap bivy bag right here, super cheap. $6.95. Okay, it's 36 inches wide by 84 inches long. Okay, this whole package, or this whole bag weighs 9 ounces. So it really doesn't add a lot of weight to your pack. This right here could save your life. Now it's bright orange. In an SHTF situation, you might not want orange because it's so easy to see. But in an SHTF situation where you want to be found, you're lost in the woods, you're flying with a buddy in their Cessna and they go down in the mountains, whatever the case may be, you survive and you want to be seen, this makes a good signal too. So, and it, you know, it's easy to see from a long distance. So if you're wanting to be found, this is something you probably should have in your bag anyway. And I'm not being paid by them to promote this product. I've had this thing several years now, and it might be more than $6.95 now. Okay, I got it at Hodge Army Navy. It's like a Army resale place. Anyway, what else? There was something else I was going to tell you guys. Oh, that's it. That's all I can think of. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and come back and see me again soon.